Hello everyone, this is Scott from MECHAVERSE, and today I'm gonna be taking a look at the s.c.m RX-78-1 prototype Gundam from BANPRESTO. For a very quick look around the box, well, there is a shot of the figure on the front, which is actually quite a bit bigger than the actual figure, so this might be tricky. Then on the sides we get to see the same shot. They show you how to attach the shield. They show you, well, one of the difference with the RX-78-2, which is the right side skirt, which is a little bit different. It's bigger and bulkier, and I don't know, it looks like there's some ammo clip of some sort in there, but I wouldn't really be sure about that. Then we get to see the RX-78-1 prototype with all of his accessories there, and I believe this is the Johnny Ridden Zaku 2, I think, from the color scheme, and with all of its accessories, of course. And on the other side we get to see some action poses. Actually, not a lot of action poses, which is really a shame since these are very articulated figure. Anyway, that would be about it. Nothing really much going on the underside, and same goes for the upper side. So let's open this up, and when we open it, you are going to be getting bubble wrap, and then of course you're going to be getting a cover, a plastic sheet, and a plastic paper sheet, of course, and the figure itself, which really does look impressive. And then there is we have all the accessories. We have extra hands, the shield, the beam rifle, the chi beam sabers, plus the handles, and then the bazooka. So let's not waste any more time, and let's go directly to the figure. As you see, we have, yeah, as I said, this is the only actual difference in molding compared to the RX-78-2, because the other side skirt is the same. And then what do we have? Well, you see the color scheme, which is drastically different. I really love all the black around, and then we get some gray there, some red, and oh, it's worth noting that this is a very light gray that has some kind of a blue feel to it, but anyway, it's still gray, and it's different from the gray of the joints. So that's a nice touch. And I don't know if I can show you with my camera. Well, a little bit actually. And you see there are some panel lines done on the head, which really does look cool. Really cool. And then, well, let's go with the articulation. So let's go with the articulation on this guy, and let me tell you, it is amazing. The head? Well, the head is not that impressive actually. It's an assembled ball joint. It can rotate and go up and down and wiggle. But, well, as soon as we move down to the shoulder, you really see the shoulder can move up about this far with a joint at the torso, and then they can go up further at the actual arm. So altogether this high up. The arms can rotate below the shoulder, bend at the elbow at 2 joints. It's not quite a 180, but it's just because the arm is so bulky. Let's call that 135, more or less. I'd say a little more, but anyway. Then we have the rotating hands, which are really stiff, and they have a little bit of wiggling around motion, but as I said, they are really stiff, and I'm not really willing to test if they are gonna break or not. So, well, they wiggle, but don't force it. Let's go to the torso, which is fantastic. Look at this. It can move backward and forward an impressive amount. Look at this, it's fantastic. Then it can rotate to the side about this far. You could force it to rotate 360, I believe, but they're not really willing to because it bumps into pretty much everything. The front skirt, the side skirt. Anyway, talking about side skirts and front skirts, the front skirt can move out of the way to have the leg going forward this far, and the back skirt do move ever so slightly, not quite as much as the front skirt, allowing the leg to go this far back, which, well, it's decent. And then this side skirt can move to the side about this far to allow the leg to kick off to the side like so, and the other side skirt can move only about this far, but the leg isn't hindered at all. The leg can also rotate a little bit at the hip, more inward, which is awkward, but it can move. Oh no, okay, it can move 360. Just like the hands, it's a little bit stiff, so you have to force it a little bit, and I'm really quite afraid of breaking something. But it can rotate. Then the knee is double jointed, and you get to see some really cool armor separation. Impressive. And then this foot armor moves up and down. The feet will move up and down at the joint at the ankle, and then there is another joint at the foot which allows the foot to go further up, so altogether this far, which is really cool. And well, on the back nothing really much, since the ball joint is just there. But anyway, it can also move to the side about this far, which is gonna be really helpful for action poses. And that will be about it for articulation. So you can definitely tell that this guy has an incredible amount of poses. Just look at this one. You spread the legs and bend the torso a little bit, and it suddenly looks awesome. How cool is that? I really love it. Now onto accessories, and the first one being the two beam sabers. Let me just remove them from the little bag, and there we have it, the two handles, which will plug into the backpack and stay there pretty stiff. So yeah, again, be careful with this guy. Everything seems to be very, very stiff, but I gotta say, the final result is really cool. They are oversized handles. They really add a lot to this kit. Either there, or you take these beams, this pink, kind of like chewing gum sort of color. I don't know, I just don't really like them. And there is a peg on the handle, and a hole on the, let's call it, beam effect part. And there is a hole there anyway, and you just plug it there, and you're done. To attach it, take a hand, one of these. They give you two hands for each. They give you, no, actually they give you one open dynamic left hand, and two holding hands, and two closed fists, which are already on the figure. And you just take them off, being really, very careful, and replace them with the hand you need. And basically these holding hands, they have the trigger finger extended, but they are used for every accessory, even the beam sabers, and they were gonna stay like so. I gotta say, they look really natural. I mean, you don't really feel they are meant to be for a gun or something. They look natural. And well, yeah, not really that menacing. I think really it's all the color's fault. This color really isn't appropriate for a beam saber, I find. But anyway, they give you beam sabers, and yeah, if you want to pose it with a beam saber, you can do it. Of course, even with two. And for other accessories, let's take in the shield. The shield has this kind of connector, which, oh, nice detail on the underneath, by the way, and also on the front. There are some really cool molding in there. Anyway, you see there are some, let me zoom in, there are some rotating parts on the arm. This thing rotate like so. You wanna rotate them like so and clip in the shield. Just like that. Upside down. Just like that. Yeah, you can see the shield can rotate around. It's not super secure. Actually, it's quite a bit loose. But if you don't fiddle around with it too much, it's gonna stay in place. And yeah, I gotta say, I really like the looks of the shield. Let me zoom back. And, well, much more than the beam saber. And other accessories, well, let's go with the guns. Now, we have, let me take it off the bag, if I can. 1 and 2. We have the beam rifle, and you just fiddle around with it until you get it right into the hand. It can be tricky because these hands are not quite rubbery as you'd expect. They are not like the Damashis, of course. You know, the Damashi has more like well, rubbery hands, and it's more easy to put weapons in there. And this one are made of the same plastic of the model, so it can be tricky. And when I say it can be tricky, I mean it will be tricky, because yeah. But anyway, when the weapon is there, it's gonna stay there, no problem. And it has no, with this amazing articulation, of course, it has no problem looking down the barrel. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I gotta say, the beam rifle looks a little bit small compared to the bulky arm, especially because it has this thin part there, the barrel. But yeah, it doesn't look bad at all. But, and let's bring in the bazooka, and you have to do the same thing. Just slide it there, and you're done. I think the bazooka looks really cool, and it doesn't look small like the beam rifle. Oh, the beam rifle also has a moving handle. I didn't try if it goes into the hand, into the other hand. Let's see. Looks like you could anyway, if you wanted. But anyway, it's, I don't know. You might try if you want. I'm not really willing to, because I'm afraid to break these hands. And also the handle. And it's quite loose. But it's there, so it's nice. The bazooka has no moving parts, by the way, and no removable ammo clips. Nothing. But, man, I think it does look pretty cool. And his accessories are not hindering the articulation at all, so you can still pull off some pretty dynamic and cool looking action poses with both feet flat and not having issues whatsoever. So let's go with the final verdict on this guy. Let's start off with the negatives that I can think of for this kit. Starting with the general feel of stiffness. It has some joints that are good, but some other joints that feel like they are gonna break if you try too much with them. And yeah, and they are very stiff, so they might be hard to move without breaking something. And the quality of the plastic also, it's good, but it's like the fixed figuration. It it feels a little bit fragile, and you definitely don't want to play with it around like you would do with the Mashi, let's say. And what else? I don't really like the shape of the beam rifle, which looks a little bit, I don't know, small maybe, compared to his hands, to his bulky arms. Oh, let's speak to the arms. I personally think that the arms, this part of the arm, the black part, it's a little bit too long, and because you see, compared to the bicep part, it's a little bit too long. It's just my opinion anyway. It might be part of the concept for this proportion, but other negatives, well, we have a handle that is quite loose, and it's not, well, you might get the, I didn't even try the open hand. I'll do it in the next part. You might force the holding hand to hold this handle, but it's really too big. I find it's too big, and I don't want to force the hand, because as I said, everything feels stiff and I'm afraid to break something. So yeah, and what else? Well, another negative for me are the two beam sabers. The more I look at them, the more I think they are ridiculous, and they don't look like beam sabers at all. They just look like two long chewing gums. And last but not least, I had the shield falling down a couple times, but it's not really that bad. But I have to point out that the part that will host the shield, it's quite loose and it likes to rotate, and so when you have the shield on, it's a little more secure, but it can rotate anyway, and you will have the shield popping out when you least expect it. And well, I think that will be about it for negatives. But let's go with the positives then. Just starting with the simple look of this. You know, when you look at some proportion like this, you really see how awesome an action figure can be. I mean, the model kits have a very they have a more bulky and boxy look to them, which has its own charm, of course. But then we have the Damashi, which looks a little bit sleeker, faster. They look a little more dynamic. But this completely destroys the original proportion, and in a positive way, of course. And I really do love this proportion. I don't know what else to say. This proportion is just great. In my opinion, of course, it's just a matter of personal tastes, I find. And maybe this kind of proportion won't be seen so well from more like old school fans that like the, I don't know, boxy look of the high grade kits. I personally like them both. I think both have their own charm. And what else? Well, the color scheme looks really great, and let me tell you that this guy has an incredible amount of detail, and the head is already pen-lined for you, and it's really incredibly detailed. And then another plus being the incredible amount of articulation, and you can pull off some really cool poses. And the articulation is a plus, but also the fact that it's stable and it's not gonna go toppling over. I really haven't had any weight issues whatsoever with this guy, and I don't know, I just think it's awesome how articulated a model can be, remaining stable and stiff like it is. And well, as I said in the previous shot, it's almost too stiff for my tastes, but you can easily pull off some really cool poses without breaking anything, like I did. And what else? Oh, the accessories are great. Despite the beam rifle, which does look a little bit small, as I said, the oversized beam saber really do look cool behind there. And then we have a really cool bazooka, and the shield is probably my favorite accessory for this guy. It has so many colors in there in a small surface. Well, not so small actually, but you get the idea. It's really awesome. It has some really cool molded detail, and all the colors are there, and I don't know, I just think this shield is awesome. And adds, with this yellow cross, it adds a lot of color differentiation to the kit, which only had yellow there and a little bit on the camera on the head. And another great plus is the bubble wrap. On to size comparison now. Let's compare it to an average size high-grade universal century and to a bigger size high-grade universal century in the form of the V-Unicorn Banshee, even though I'm just using the black unicorn parts. And what else do I have here? A Robo Damashi GM Sniper 2. Stay there, please. And my Variable Tech Evangelion Unit 00. Why not? And well, let's stop this. I have so many more here. And yeah, you can see it's an average size. Well, it's I don't know. It fits into the high-grade universal century shelf without any problems. It's about the same size of a normal high-grade universal century kit. So 1 to 144. And yeah, that would be about it. And that would really be about it for this review. This was Scott from MECHAVERSE.co. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, of course. And I will see you at the next review.